22 minutes past 7. Now, we might not like to admit it, but if we're honest, I don't know if you do this as well, many of us probably spend a bit too long on our phones or tablets or one of our devices. But what is it that makes these devices so hard to put down?
Yeah, well, me included. There are plans in America which could see things like autoplaying, we've all been there, the next video on YouTube, and the infinite scrolling newsfeed on Facebook banned. The authorities claim these features are designed to encourage addictive behaviours.
Yeah, it's easily done, isn't it? You sit there, you think, I'll just have a quick look at my phone, and then an hour's gone.
Exactly,
yeah.
if you're lucky.
Yeah. Well, it's an issue that the UK Parliament is investigating too, so we've been finding out what you think.
I find myself scrolling quite often in the day. Anytime I'm not really doing anything, I probably will be on my phone scrolling.
I suppose stuff that I've looked at before, and then that'll kind of crop up with stuff that I've been searching. So yeah, I suppose it's usually the same kind of stuff.
Absolutely addicted to scrolling, yes, because once you get in there, there's so much more information at your fingertips. You've got links to different things going off everywhere, and before you know it, you can be hours.
I think if it already starts playing, I feel like I'm entitled to watch the video, and then about 3 minutes in, I'm watching about 10-minute footage.
No, I don't watch videos that automatically come on after the video that I've been watching. I find it very irritating.
I guess it can be quite compulsive to watch. I don't think it's addictive as such. I think it's more like I could probably be doing something better in my free time.
Well, let's talk about this to Dan Sodergren, a digital marketing and tech expert, and Dr. Susie Gage, a psychologist from the University of Liverpool. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Morning.
A good starting place is probably defining what exactly auto-scrolling is in this context, Dan.
So auto-scrolling would be that wonderful thing, the infinite scroll. So you imagine it on things like Twitter, maybe on Facebook, where you can keep going and keep going and keep going, and it never stops, especially on Instagram and other things. So you can become almost mindless in this moment where 10 minutes could have gone, half an hour could have gone. And I think that's the bit we've got to become digitally mindful about. We've got to realise actually at some point we should all stop. And we've got to take a bit of control out of our own agency and say, actually, even though that function's there, a couple of minutes in, maybe I should be stopping that. So infinite scroll is being targeted as one of those things that may have been designed by the Stanford Institute of Psychological Persuasion, I think it was called. No, there's actually a thing called that. Tristan Harris went to it. And so, yeah, we should look at that, and maybe we should stop scrolling so much.
Is it addictive, Susie?
I think we need to be really careful about using the word addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, and colloquially, obviously we say, oh, I'm addicted to this chocolate bar, or, that kind of thing, and that's absolutely fine. But in terms of actually thinking of what addiction is from a research or a clinical point of view, addiction is something where you're compelled to do something like take a substance or do a behaviour to a point where there's the potential for harm to the individual. So harm could be your relationships suffer, your work suffers, your sleep suffers, but something that's actually either causing the harm to an individual has the potential to do so.
So if it's not affecting your life in any way, then it's not a problem?
Well, we all have choice, free will. We can do what we want as long as we're not harming other people. I mean, to a greater or lesser extent. But, that's quite important for society that we're able to make decisions about what we do.
But isn't the problem if they're designed to be addictive, that's the issue?
Yeah, so again, we've got to be really careful with that word addiction. So I don't believe that they intended to make these things. Now, we've got to be careful as well. We've got to separate social media, mobile gaming and gambling. Mobile gaming is not gambling. They use some of the same gambling mechanisms or gaming mechanisms. We've got to be really careful that social media isn't clumped in that as well. A lot of positive stuff comes out of social media, so let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, as the old saying goes. But as a much wiser person than I said, there's a great quote. He said that the problem is that we have Stone Age emotions, we have medieval institutions, but godlike technology. And the point being there, of course, is that this stuff's a lot cleverer than we think. So this race to the bottom of the brainstem, as Tristan Harris talks about, this could be something that's actually really happening. We may be getting dumbed down by this technology, and we've got to be a bit careful. Now, it's not addiction. You have complete free will. You can take all these things off your phone. But if you're creating a company which sole intention is to keep you distracted, and that's how you make money, I think we really have to look at that. We should have technology that's good for society, not that's bad for society.
So do you think then, Susie, this idea of stopping this autoplay function would actually make any difference?
I mean, potentially for some people. That's the really vague answer that I can give. But, it's kind of the same as with things like alcohol. We know that for some people, alcohol can lead to problems. but for most of us it won't. But we also know that it's not particularly good for any of us, and yet we can choose whether or not to use it. But we also know that alcohol companies want us to buy their product, so they market their product. And I think it's really similar here with tech. Like, tech companies obviously want us to use their products. They might potentially be, might be some people who have particular vulnerabilities for things like developing kind of problematic behaviour patterns. So it's really important that we keep an eye on people who might be at risk, and we keep an eye on technology that's more likely to cause problems for those people who are at risk.
So think about, just because a brilliant analogy there using it, we're talking about alcohol. Now, of course, what we do is we educate people about it, don't we? And we don't let certain people have that, because it's, so younger people can't be having it under 18, etc., and we educate people, and that's what we have to do with technology as well. The other thing I think is a really good point, though, is just like if you were a bartender and someone's too drunk and you shouldn't be serving them, actually technology companies could easily put it that after 3 hours you're playing that game and you shouldn't still be playing Candy Crush and you've played it for 6 hours, they should have an anti-addiction alarm that goes off and warns you.
You get booted off.
And you get booted off, yeah, even better. You actually get booted off. The algorithm kicks you off. Now, that's what they should be going for. Or, as you were talking about with the alcohol, perhaps just taxing companies that don't do social good. So actually maybe taxing Facebook and Twitter a bit more, because we think their things are potentially a problem. So there's two ways of viewing it, isn't there? Education and regulation. So maybe look at that.
And you're going to be coming back to talk more about this a bit later on, so if anyone has any thoughts on it and wants to let us know, then we can put them to you a bit later on. But thank you very much for coming in. I love that quote as well. So it's Stone Age emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology.
E.A. Wilson.
Or use that. Thank you.
Thanks.